Okay, narrative breakers, we are possibly in the most confusing time to be a Republican in recent American history. Liberals are now taking the side of Trump supporters against Elon Musk, which I believe is just a plot to create a further divide between MAGA and Elon Musk and the entire conservative base. However, it is not without warrant. Elon Musk has been completely going unhinged, off the rails, and as the young niggas would say, he's crashing out. He's crashing out completely on the internet. He is disrespecting white Americans. He's disrespecting his base. We're talking about an individual that just joined our party about 6-7 months ago, now telling conservatives that the toxic Republicans need to be kicked out. Newsflash, I've been Republican, as you guys know, since 6 years old. I would never sit here and claim that I have the authority to dictate who is and who isn't Republican. Big Musk has low-key lost the plot, and I feel like this is remnant of things to come. It's reminiscent of Kanye West. It's a man who has millions and millions of people constantly telling him he is right. It does lead to cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. It's the reality that these people unfortunately live in. And I think it might be Elon Musk's undoing, although I don't want it to be. But I think it's inevitable for what is coming next.
I'm not against legal immigration. I think most individuals who voted for Trump aren't necessarily against legal immigration as it pertains to H. But Americans didn't vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. They didn't vote for Elon Musk. They voted for Donald Trump in part because of his tough stance on immigration illegally, but also because I assume they believe that the president-elect wouldn't increase the number of individuals coming into the country, even legally, that could potentially negatively impact or disproportionately affect Americans as it pertains to certain types of jobs. And so again, I go back to my original premise. We need to focus on domestic skill development. I understand what former Mayor de Blasio was saying. We got to bring people in with the goal of getting to that point, maybe in the decade or so. I get that. But why not limit the cap where it's at and focus over the...
And like I said, we have to be careful to conservatives. We got to be careful of falling into confirmation bias too. Hey, as everyone knows, I am not happy about what Elon Musk has been doing. However, we got to be very careful with taking the sides of our enemies to express our concerns, because it could simply be manipulation, and they're using our anger to try to cause confusion to ruin something that's good. People are simply asking Elon Musk to pay attention to his wrongdoings, think a little bit longer about his decisions. No one's trying to excommunicate him out the party, but when he makes these statements, responding to Scott Adams saying that, yes, those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party, root and stem. It is worrying from people. I mean, you got an individual that's been here for 6 months. I've been here since I was 6. That's worrying to me, to have someone that can come in, put his money, stand beside the president, jump up and down like a kid, and then feel as if he has the right to tell all these other Americans that, in a way, I know more than you, and I know if you belong here or not. That's dangerous because it's a pay-to-play gimmick. Whether you like Musk or don't, it's dangerous precedent being set that if you got the money in America, you can come into this country as a foreigner and decide the systems of America. Okay, he's in charge of Doge, so he is would be a government official. But it is worrying to have government officials. I mean, we don't see Republicans talk like this. We don't really see Republican congressmen, senators talking about rooting out Republicans. And mind you, this is the main concern of everything. People might say, oh, they're overreacting to Elon Musk. It's because he's talking about regular, everyday Americans. He's talking about rooting out Americans in his comments. He's talking about being ratioed on Twitter. That's dangerous. You're not talking about the Mitt Romneys. You're not talking about the Mitch McConnells. You're not talking about Nancy Pelosi. You're talking about the everyday, every American, talking about their toxic Republicans. You're talking about people that don't have the power, that are victims to your choices and decisions. That's where you lose the plot. You're never supposed to argue with the audience. Like, that's where you lose the plot. And people have defended him rigorously. I've defended Musk. Come on. We all have. We've all defended this man. And to just go out and attack your entire base because there's a disagreement, it's a mask off moment. Hey, I'm very fair. I could use this moment. Everyone knows I'm demonetized on X. I have my feelings about it. I'm not satisfied with it. I won't use this moment as an excuse just to attack Elon Musk or to try to get other people to dislike him because I have my distrust with him. No. But this is simply just to hold someone accountable and say, bro, you have done wrong here. You've done wrong here. You've done wrong here. Maybe it would benefit you, Mr. Musk, to take a step back and look at the things you've done and see why it has backlash. Why are people dissatisfied? Why do you keep having creators that get demonetized? Why is there always an uproar? Why did you have to change the algorithm when you were getting ratioed by someone with 343 followers? It's concerning. And it's very American to speak about the impact a South African has who fled his country, came to our country, and is telling Americans, Republicans, if they are even Republican or not. At the end of the day, he could have made his nation great with the Bantu people, but he chose to come to the greatest country on earth. We were appealing to you, so you can't call us these demeaning terms. You wanted to be here. You want to be one of us. And I'm sorry, we have some arrogance as Americans. We do. This is our nation. This is our home. And they're comparing this whole immigration thing to a sports team. This is our home. You can't compare a culture to a home. I want to go outside and I want to see America. I don't want to see the center stage for the New World Order, and I don't think that's asking for too much.
The next decade of increase in skills within our own people. Most Americans don't want to see good-paying American jobs going to people from India or China.
Yeah, but wait a minute. The competition, the global competition is happening right now. And if we don't grab that talent, sure, Michael, I hear you. But if you don't grab the talent now, someone else does. And if you really want to grow the economy so you'll have that opportunity for Americans, why would you leave talent on the table? You know, grab what you can now and build toward the goal you're talking about. It's not either or.
Catherine, final word.
Yeah, I would add that there's basically no evidence that bringing in high-skilled talent over the past century has reduced employment for Americans. In fact, the opposite, that these are complementary jobs, and that they end up creating these high-skilled immigrants who come in, whether they're founding Fortune 500 companies or otherwise, end up creating a lot of opportunities for American workers and making American scientists more productive.
Yeah.
Okay. What Americans? Wait a minute. What Americans? Because again, to the point that I made earlier, we know that studies suggest that minorities are underrepresented in these fields. There are a host of other Americans who are underrepresented in these fields. So perhaps they are creating jobs for some Americans, but it certainly aren't Americans that I know or people who look like me, Catherine, with all due respect. So again, I am vehemently against this. We're allowing enough of these people to come into the country as is.
These are not substitutes. These are complements. These are complements. These are not substitutes. I agree. We need to improve the pipeline for underrepresented talent in tech.
And is it just me? Please don't knock at my door with the pitchforks for saying this. But CNN has become a whole lot more watchable, whether it be Scott Jennings and these interesting guests. I've been enjoying CNN content. I'm sorry, please don't come with the pitchforks, but I do like the discourse that they've had, and they've had people to combat their narratives there. So I super duper appreciate that from CNN myself.
Okay, it doesn't mean kicking out all the global talent.
Well, we've got one Democrat at the table who agrees with. Hold on, Shermichael. We've got one Democrat at the table who agrees with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. We have another Democrat who is joining us now. That is the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, who is with me. And Governor, I'm so glad you're here because you weighed in on this yourself tonight, saying that you also believe both Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are correct. You said that we should welcome elite engineers and amazing innovators from everywhere to deploy their talents here to make America more prosperous. But you added, welcoming hardworking people with skills in farming, construction, hospitality also benefits us. What's your take on the argument that you just heard?
Well, look, they get it partially right. Absolutely. You know, there's millions of Americans that work for companies that were founded by immigrants. Those jobs wouldn't exist today if we didn't let those immigrants in. It's amazing that we can attract the best and hardest working people from across the world. Yes, part of that picture are entrepreneurs, the top engineers. By the way, if we don't allow them to come here.
The greatest and brightest have to come to America to get an education to be considered the greatest and brightest. Did anyone notice that? Why is it that the people that we bring in, they like to flex their Ivy League education? Newsflash. You got to come to the United States for that. They're not bragging about Oxford. They're not bragging about their African colleges. Well, I'm sorry. Apologies to Oxford. There are people bragging about Oxford. but I'm talking about by mass majorities. When you think of someone being highly educated, is the first thing you think of Oxford University. It's very credible. It's the oldest one. But we're thinking about American Ivy Leagues. If I'm wrong, strike me down. When you think of someone highly educated and they're from a foreign nation, the first thing you think of, which Ivy League did they go to? Which American school did they go to? So you're telling me to be considered more educated than Americans, you have to have an American education. And you have to graduate from a school surrounded by other fellow Americans. But when you all graduate, those white Americans, those black Americans, they don't get picked for the job. But the foreigner does because they have a stronger education, although they have the same background. There's a lot of holes in this argument. And now we have proof that this H1HB, whatever, H1B, however you want to pronounce it, I forgot how to pronounce it already. There's proof that these individuals actually are the reason why jobs that Americans are supposed to be working, it's significantly lower in terms of pay than it should be. Because people are willing to take half of the pay by doing 1/3 of the work. It's a scam. There are a plethora of complaints of people being paid lower for high-end jobs and giving people low-end quality of work. You see, the thing with America, you pay a man $130,000. He gonna work for $130,000. You pay a foreigner for $45,000, and even if it's worth $300,000 in their country, once they find out how little of value that we have for that money, they're going to have that same mindset for it, and they're going to treat it as such. You win nothing by cutting corners in life, and the same can be said with employment.
The jobs will follow them overseas, and that's where the employment will grow. But the second part of that picture is the contributions of immigrants to other sectors of our economy, meaning ag workers in the field, Colorado's biggest export, beef, potatoes, supporting construction industry. If you want to increase the cost of homes, increase the cost of groceries, a good way to do that is not allowing people in to pick the crops and build a home. So immigrants contribute across the entire economy. I hope that Elon Musk and Vivek Ram, but they certainly seem to get the contributions around entrepreneurs and engineers, and frankly, that's a start.
Well, on this issue, seeing your agreement with them that, there's not always a ton of overlap in that area, on immigration, he's talking about illegal immigration. Trump has called you a coward and a fraud. We talked to you when that happened about things that are happening in your community in Colorado. But on this issue, given we have not heard a lot from Trump on legal immigration this time around, in 2.0, Trump 2.0, what is your hope for these voices and maybe moderating voices, in some people's view, with an Elon Musk and a Vivek Ramaswamy in terms of what Trump does?
Well, look, the President-elect Trump said that we should provide a visa or working permit to everybody who graduates from an American college. I agree. Let's do that. I mean, we have foreign students who come here, who study. All we're doing is subsidizing other countries if we're forcing them to go back and not deploy the talents and skills they got here in our country. I hope he listens on immigration to people like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, but also takes into account his desire to reduce grocery prices, to reduce housing prices. If he wants to accomplish that, immigrants play such an important role in our economy across the continuum, across the skills continuum, right? From low skills jobs, hardworking, to high skills jobs, founders, engineers. They're really a big part of what makes America as prosperous as we are. And as your last panelist said, in many ways, it's our superpower that we have the best and brightest and hardest working people from across the world that want to come here and live the American dream and be part of making our country safer, stronger, and wealthier.
As governor, how are you preparing for what both of those fronts could look like in terms of illegal immigration and legal immigration? I mean, this comes as today we had schools urging international students to maybe come back early from break to in case there is a travel ban-esque moment in the beginning of Trump's administration like there was 8 years ago. How are you personally preparing for that?
Look, and we have world-class universities here, University of Colorado at Boulder, Colorado State University. Students from across the world come here. And one of the stupidest things we do as a nation is when they get their degree or their graduate degree, it could be a PhD in physics and engineering, we literally say you're not allowed to work in this country. You have to go somewhere else. And guess what? In a global economy, the jobs follow them. Back to India, back to China. It hurts our economy, hurts job creation. And it's one of the dumbest things that we do. Look, as a governor, as a state, we don't control immigration. But all I can do is encourage people like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, the business community to speak up and say, look, immigrants are an important part of our economy. And of course, if President-elect Trump wants to go after criminals, whether they were born here or whether they were born in another country, the state of Colorado will help them do that. And if there's criminals in our state, and there were born in another country, we want to
What has happened to CNN? I just have to keep asking this. I'm completely stunned by the stuff I've been seeing lately.
apprehend, deport them, and hold them accountable for the law. At the same time, so many immigrants contribute so much to our economy, whether it's keeping groceries affordable, keeping homes affordable, or helping to start tomorrow's great company that could employ tens of thousands of Americans with good paying jobs.
For decades, this company.
So there's a video of Donald Trump speaking boldly against the current drama that we have going on against these visas. Like, man, the problem is that the brightest and the greatest aren't being used for these visas. We have proof that jobs like janitorial jobs or a job as simple as, oh my God, project management is being given to these individuals that can't be done by Americans. You can't tell me a job as a janitor for $30,000 a year has to be done by migrants, because my father was a janitor my whole life. Got promoted to a building ground supervisor and did the job good, surrounded by Americans at the school system that my father worked in. Never once did they think we need more skill here to clean these toilets, to keep the rooms clean, to keep order in the school. Not once did they think that we need foreign interference to help us run those, well, to help him run those schools, to help us run our country. Yes, America is a nation of immigrants. We don't want to take that away. It's what makes us beautiful. Although our states are separate, we are united, the United States. That's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us whole. But we are saying this visa program is being used to take advantage of Americans. We're not saying don't bring in new people to make America, but make it fair. Make them compete on the same levels we do. Don't give them these small incentives. That's just DEI with extra steps, because that's what we're doing. Because you call someone brighter or something, not a brighter. It's unacceptable. Black people are told all the time to pick themselves up by the bootstraps. I could use this moment to say the same to white people now that they're being replaced by Indians, but I won't, because right is right and wrong is wrong. I just hope that this problem can help even Europeans see. I'm sorry, I'm black, I'm European. White Europeans can see that, hey, sometimes this rhetoric against a group of people is nasty. To sit here and assume that people aren't capable. The same can be said about my people sometimes. It's just negative talking points that spread upon the masses so that people's propaganda, people's narrative can be pushed. And the narrative for Elon Musk is that America isn't qualified, so it's time to bring in more qualification. The narrative of DEI is that black people aren't qualified, so it's time to bring in more qualification. The narrative of a lot of white Europeans, thanks to social media, mainly Elon Musk's X, is that black people aren't qualified, so leads to them not getting jobs. It's not even offering them a job. And in fact, if they get any position, it's led to people questioning if a black person deserves it at all. You could be a black nuclear physicist, and someone could see you in your position because of what they've done with DEI and the media, that you would automatically assume that that person was given his job instead of earned. So there's a lot of problems in America that needs to be solved. But we first got to get rid of the fat, cut out the flat. And I'm a nationalist. I'm sorry, guys. If you're an Indian, I got love for you. I've said it on my last video. I don't think I need to say this every time. But is it a problem with me loving Americans? Is it a problem with me trying to protect what we have? Is it a problem with me wanting to still see cartoons with the cherry pie? Is it a problem to still see imagery of us going to the baseball game? Is it a problem with us still wanting a foot-long hot dog while we at the baseball game? Is it a problem with us enjoying wrestling and enjoying football and the NBA? It's our culture. Can we please protect it? It's nothing. I didn't think anything was wrong with that, saying that we want what our people build.
31% of Democrats are satisfied. That is a number that I would hope that the Democratic Party is listening to.
So mind you, this is going to be a very interesting watch. There's just not much left of this at all. But I think This is worth the watch.
Is actually going to react rather than constantly pushing away the ideas of Republicans when clearly the Democrats aren't even happy with their ideas.
Yeah, look, hey, you can be pessimistic. You could ask questions and always hope to do better. And that's what we should be doing, strive to do better. But sometimes these policies and the way that you move forward is not popular. You got to crack some eggs if you want to make an omelet. And that's what Joe Biden has done. He's done things that are unpopular with the left, unpopular with the right, but he believes is the right direction for this country. And I think that's the distinct difference. And to go back to my friend here, if we're concerned about who's calling the shots in the White House, we should stand up and do something about it, because I think we should have concerns about co-president Elon Musk in the White House and
that's
others
such a Democratic
around Donald
talking
Trump
point about Elon
who
Musk.
is
Come on.
contributing.
I mean, first of all, Donald Trump is
let's-
not letting anybody to take the wind out of his sails, okay? I mean, do you know the
Yeah,
guy?
well,
He is not.
So we saw CNN defending conservatives and whatnot, and now we see Fox News claiming, well, this rhetoric on Fox News about Elon Musk running Trump. Mainstream media as a whole, like I said, is going to possibly create a divide between them. They did the same thing with Steve Bannon and claiming Steve Bannon was President Bannon and whatnot in the past. And they tried very hard to create a divide through President Trump then. It's a spooky time to be alive.
Gonna let
Everyone's trying to get their hands on the country.
Elon Musk come in and make decisions, just like Biden didn't let Kamala Harris do a darn thing in the office.
It looks that way. If
How
he's
does it
taking
look
calls
that
with
way?
foreign leaders, well, that's what I'm saying.
His
You're
job
making
is to indulge, is to cut down spending, which is something that this country desperately
That's
needs.
great.
We're $35 trillion in
He's
debt.
a talented, very talented person, and he should.
Wouldn't
have
you
a
want a
role
smart
in the US
businessman in the
government.
office, or do you
But
want
if
Kamala
we're talking
Harris?
about who's calling the shots, then let's call a spade, and let's make sure there's transparency.
President Trump
if we
isn't
care
even in
about
the
that.
office yet, so I don't even know what you mean about calling the shots. But I mean, certainly somebody needs to call the shots. And under Biden, we really don't know who is calling the shots. I don't know who pardoned all these people. I don't know who decided, to make all these last-minute agendas. Who knows?
But if we're going to make those accusations, then we have to be concerned about not just this presidency, but for the future.
And of course
yes,
we will.
should have
When
those
Donald Trump is
concerns,
finally in
but
office,
should
we
dig
will
towards
be
answers.
watching. And we will be watching, and we will be covering that. But right now, Biden is still there for some 20 days plus. So, I mean, that's what we're watching, because we should be concerned about
Absolutely,
who's running
and that's
this
where I
country.
think we see what
All right.
he's doing. He's not out there on social media or making these flashy
Well, at least
announcements.
Donald Trump is out
but
there
he's doing
talking
the work
to the
that we
American
hope he would
public. He's
do.
engaging. You know what? I'd rather a president that engages with us than hides behind closed doors. But I got to go. I'm sorry. I'm getting the hard rap. I just completely ate up the time on here. David Carlucci, Samantha Dravis, thank you very much.
We're in a civil war. We're in a civil war right now. Some fat got to get trimmed off. You guys seen the screenshots in the beginning. Musk is going completely unhinged. And I believe it's because Trump said something to Elon Musk earlier today. I do. Or late last night. This man is taking this stuff personal. And I feel like MAGA, you people who've been aggravated, have somewhat thwarted his plans. I think Trump told him he might scale back on the H-1 visas or might entirely do with them. Because one thing about President Trump, he loves us. Don't you ever regret, don't you ever doubt that. I want to be careful when I say this. So President Trump never supported Project 2025. I want everyone to know that, right? Foundation, Heritage Foundation, whatever. But President Trump would have never been adamantly against Project 2025 unless he felt like being with it could have hurt his base. He cares so much about his people that if he feels like it's not good for us and if we vote it's not good for us, he's done with it. He's done with it. The way he treated Dan Crenshaw, the way that he denied Mike Pompeo, and a few other picks, he's been listening. And if you think for 1 second that Elon Musk doesn't notice that Donald Trump will cut your ass off if the base don't like you, you're crazy. That's why he's crashing out. People that Trump base don't like don't have a very successful career around Trump. Just look it up. Trouble in paradise. I would like to reveal some of the insider information that I have, but I have to wait on some of it to transpire because, when I get insider information, just like a regular person, promises are made and promises are expected to be kept for you not to say nothing. So it's nothing I can say, but I do feel like something was said to Musk. I'll say that. And this is the end of this. It's a mask off moment. I'm not telling anyone how to think. I would love for you to tell me how you think. Please leave it in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about this whole situation. And please like the video, because you guys blew the last one up with all those likes. Over 1,000 likes. That blew my video up. 13K views. I'm shocked. Thank you guys for that. And, of course, please click the notification bell to stay updated on my next post so you don't miss it. I will be doing this again today. Thank you. See you on the next one in a few hours after 7 p.m. Central Time.